Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a little bit of an incursion prep. If you noticed the announcement last night, the dates for incursion have been released. We're going to start early next week. I'm putting this video out somewhat early. One, because I want you to have time to prepare. And two, there are going to be other videos about incursion prep. Today's video is going to be more about PvP and specifically anti-strike-team crews. I think some of the following videos about incursions will be maybe strike team variants if you don't have all of them, general PvP crews. Don't know if it'll make it 3 videos or just one more video about the PvP. There is some overlap between the 3 different categories for PvP, I guess. And then probably another 2 videos on base defense. What ships to use and what crews to put on them. So it will probably be at least 4 videos. So you can see why I'm doing this. I'm starting this a little early instead of, waiting for the weekend. Then you got 1, maybe no days to prepare. And another reason why I'm doing incursion prep is because screw this stupid ass Borg arc. I hate it. They keep running these damn events for it, and I keep looking at it and say, no, I'm not going to do it. 2 reasons is I think it's stupid. I mean, these are all improvements we've been asking for 2 or 3 years, and they didn't just give it to us. They're making us grind for it again. Oh, God, because that's so fun. And the second reason is, well, I refine my Borg probes every day. I only refine 500,000 because I don't feel like doing a second run. I pick up some independent credits, and then I pick up a few faction credits, and what do you know? Guess what? I don't have enough to get the directives or the researches. So, I'm doing it. Alright. Enough of that. PvP crews. Specifically for anti-strike team. Now, I've gone ahead and loaded them up on the ship type that you'll be facing. As you can see, here is a D4. And yes, I went down a tier. I have been accused of using my big ships instead of, my little ones. So here we go. Tap on the officer button. Yes, you are on an interceptor. You can do this on an explorer. Doesn't really matter that much. Just figured I got to organize it somehow, right? Kang. Kang's going to be big for fighting interceptor strike team. Number 1 reason, you tap on his officer ability, the accuracy. Even though you may be using this on an explorer, you're still going to need more accuracy. The limit for piercing is not like the mitigation limit. So you want more piercing. You want more, and you want more piercing. And then maybe even some more piercing. Now, if you look at his captain's ability. Now, yes, I do understand interceptor strike team, if it is a full synergized interceptor strike team, the MAR is going to reduce your crit damage. But that will take a while to build up. So if you can get hull breach real quick, you can start doing some extra damage. Now, at base, Kang is only 80%. Yes, 80%. So you're going to want to find a little buddy to go with him for synergy. Check out tapping. Check out some of his little buddies. Now, this may be a little harder because a lot of his little buddies that will get him more chance for hull breach, they are faction specific. As you can see, Yagnaha, or however you say that, will increase your damage against Romulan ships. I don't know what that message was. Recording stop. Recordings keep going. Stupid phone. Alright, where was that? Yagnaha. Right here. Increased damage to Romulan ships. What? Oh, dude, put that back up there. Health. Make sure if you have Yagnaha, you want to stack health. Now you're also going to want to stack some attack. If you remember, Kang's ability was the accuracy, would increase with attack. So yes, you are having to stack multiple things, but it really can work for you. Oh, look, they're all doing armadas. Krell is another option. But again, like Yagnaha, he has faction-specific tapping. There we go. This one's Federation. So naturally, defense. Now, they're Klingons, so they don't have one in the group for Klingons. Oh well. This one, Linskaka, or however the hell you say that. I'm not sure if this will work. The good thing about it is it's not faction-based. The bad thing about it is it adds armor. And if you understand how the triangle works, interceptors have high armor piercing, so I don't think adding armor really does anything. Now, Linkasa, sure, however you say that, will add synergy, so you'll get that bonus. I just don't know that adding the armor here is going to do anything for you. But it is an option. If we can look at Kuron. Kuron's going to add you speed when you kill somebody, so, Kuahag. Now, if you get Hull Breach, this guy, however you say his name, can be an option because, one, it's not faction-based. And since you're fighting Interceptor Strike Team, you are going to get Hull Breached. So this guy's going to increase your accuracy. Now, it's 60% and you're on an Interceptor, or whatever ship you're on. It's only going to be increasing the base. So if you're doing this on an Explorer, you would get a little more than on an Interceptor. But either way, it is still kind of not that much. Now, Mara's going to decrease the opponent's dodge. But again, it's base. But at the same time, it isn't faction specific. So it can be an option for you. What did I want to talk about? Gorkon. Maybe putting Gorkon here. And I realize I have Garrick because of the way, what's that asshole's name? Kang. Kang worked, he put on Hull Breach. So if you had Garrick, you could potentially use Garrick. But let's find Honor Guard Worf. Honor Guard Worf is a suitable replacement for him. And I said all that while I was changing the crew slightly. If you would prefer, maybe your little helmet head Klingons don't work out too well for you. You can use Gorkon. Take a look at his captain ability. You get a critical hit, you're probably going to get Hull Breach. It's 90%, so it's not guaranteed, but it's almost guaranteed. Increases your critical hit chance. And you know, Honor Guard Worf does also increase your critical hit chance. Now, the first few crews I mentioned are going to be the better ones. Because you're adding 500% of whatever stat you are stacking. It's going to be the best, but it is going to also be the harder one to work for you because it is faction specific. So I showed you a few of those other crews just to give you some options. Let's move on to Explorers. This one is probably going to be the easier one for you to beat, I think, because it is definitely the one that is not... It's the worst one as far as I'm concerned, as far as Strike Team go. You can notice Marcus is in here. See a theme there? Kang for interceptors, Marcus for explorers. That's right, we're going with the Trinity officers, tried and true. As you can see, I had my Enterprise out. So, Marcus Captain. You see with the 2 synergy guys on the side. 95% chance to inspire morale when your opponent's whole health goes under 80%. Now, explorers usually want the battle to go longer. You don't necessarily want that with the strike team, but you're on an, I have the Enterprise here. If you're on an Enterprise, you kind of do want it to go longer. Well, you definitely do. The Explorer Strike Team doesn't really want that. Because, what is it? The officer abilities stack, but they stack with round limits. So it's just not gonna, it's not sustainable good. It's good in the beginning, it's not really that good in the end. That's why I think a good option is Zhao on the side. Zhao, give you some mitigation based on defense. Remember that defense. And Harrison. You're going to ignore some of the shields in the first round. Now, that should help you do Marcus's captain ability and get you morale quicker. What does that do for an Enterprise? Recharges your shield. So you're recharging your shield and you're increasing your mitigation. So you should be good there. You can, depending on what ship you're fighting, like say you're not fighting an Enterprise that is going to recharge its shields, you can potentially use Yuki and maybe do that because you're still getting your shield regeneration because you got Kirk. You're still getting your shield piercing because of Marcus, but Yuki is stripping their shields. So you should be able to kill them quicker. And I have Spock down here just because the order doesn't really matter because it's not really any of their captain abilities doing anything. Don't forget, in all of these crews I'm showing you, if you're on with some of these smaller ships, especially some of these epic G3s and maybe even the rare or uncommon ones, recharging your shields is going to benefit you. Except against Battleship Strike Team. So if you're fighting Explorer Strike Team, you can put the Trinity officer as captain, maybe get some of that captain ability bonus, and put Kirk Spock on the side. But remember, that's not going to be fighting for it's not going to be for fighting Battleship Strike Team. It could be useful for you for fighting Explorer Strike Team or Interceptor Strike Team. Speaking of Battleship Strike Team, now remember, they got Una, so they're going to be reducing your shield mitigation, which is why recharging your shields isn't really going to do anything for you. So here you go. And also, like not the other two, I forgot to mention when fighting Explorer Strike Team, don't use a critical chance officer because they're going to negate your critical chance. Not the case against Battleship Strike Team. Interceptor Strike Team is going to reduce your crit damage. Yes, but if you're doing it early in the round, you can still get some crit damage in there. But overall, they are going to reduce your crit damage. Explorer Strike Team is going to reduce your crit chance. Battleship Strike Team has the potential to reduce the amount of shots with Ortegas. So, what you want to do, you want to punch hard, you want to punch fast, you want to punch big. So that means crit chance, hull breach, piercing. Here you go, right here. Charvenik is Trinity Officer. Hey, look at that. There's a theme. Armor piercing for battleships. Stack health below deck. We go Honor Guard. This is not Honor Guard Worf. This is Gorkon. I showed you him before a little bit. 10% crit chance. Yes, it isn't much, but sometimes every little bit helps. Hull breach when you get a crit chance. Honor Guard Worf. Increased crit chance. Yes, for 8 rounds. But if you're going 8 rounds against Battleship Strike Team, you're probably going to lose. Now, potentially, Honor Guard Worf could be your captain. As you can see here, when fighting players, Worf is going to increase his ship's armor piercing by 30% of your attack every time you get a critical hit. Now, that isn't that much, but something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. I'm sorry, I can't really tell you. Is his captain ability going to be more for you than Gorkon's captain ability? Also, something else to consider that may work against battleships, because they usually have high hull health. They usually have high hull health. You have a potential with Charvenik as captain to put burn on them. Now, burn should do 1%. It should remove 1% of their hull health every round it has burn. But again, you have to get their hull health below 80% first before you start putting burn on. Me, I have the crit damage researches, so I'm going to go crit chance. Another 10% crit chance added on top of my 20? That's 30. Plus Honor Guard Worf 60. That's 90. But that is for me. If you're a little lower level, you probably don't have as much crit damage research or as much crit chance research. So potentially Honor Guard Worf or Charvenik could be a better captain for you. Now, something else I want to call your attention to, and this is why I said there might be some overlap in the beginning. Depending on what type of weapons you have on your ship, like say an auger here, it has the big kinetic weapon in the obliterator. If you look at the battle report, that's the first one for you. In round one, it'll say charging the weapon or whatever, however it actually says that. Round 2, it'll fire, and then it won't fire again until round 5. But you have 2 smaller energy weapons that appear after your obliterator in the battle report. 2 smaller energy weapons that fire twice each. So 4 shots. So if you can take a look at TOS Kirk's captain ability, when fighting players, remember, only when fighting players, not like armadas or hostiles, Kirk is going to increase the damage of any energy weapons by 50% of the total damage of the stats, the defensive stats that you are stacking. Now remember, that's every round you have morale. You can see I only have 27. I was stacking health, so he's only going to add 10,000 to every shot. Remember, 4 energy shots. And add 10,000 to every shot every round. It can be useful to you. Is this going to be most useful for you fighting the Battleship Strike Team? Probably not. Because depending on how much defense you can stack, it may take longer for you to get it. But at the same time, as you can see, I did max mine. If you are, depending on your officers and their level and such and other such and such, you can start seeing how much defense, oop, wrong one, you can stack. Now look at that. I got up to 93,000. So that's 45,000. Yes, You probably can't stack 90,000. I didn't even realize I could. Well, now I know. No one's half the battle. G.I. Joe! I think I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to ramble too much. Alright. TOS Kirk is an option. I will probably feature him a little more in some of the other videos. Comment below, how do you go up against the strike teams? Be sure to like, subscribe, so you can be notified when I drop more incursion prep videos. I am the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders.